The golden plains blaze under the merciless sun. The heat shimmers across the savanna, and dust dances above the cracked earth. At the heart of the wilderness, Solar Vortex, the golden-maned lion, brother of Specter Fang, stands atop a sun-baked ridge, his mane glinting like molten fire. His amber eyes scan the horizon with regal disdain. Below, a massive buffalo trudges forward, Eclipse Vale, son of Shadowpike, general to King Gravelight. His obsidian horns curve like scythes, his eyes glimmer with fury. Eclipse Vale's voice rumbles across the plain.
You lions think you own the wind, the sun, and every shadow that moves beneath them. But this land, this is our grazing ground. You trespass on the soil that feeds my kin.
Solar Vortex's gaze sharpens. His voice is calm but heavy with power.
Your kin should learn to stay where the grass still grows. You stepped beyond the border drawn by my brother. The consequence is death.
Your brother's borders mean nothing to the sons of Gravelight. We do not bow to lions who rule with arrogance.
Solar Vortex steps down from the ridge, dust swirling around his paws.
Then you will bow in blood.
The air between them thickens. Even the vultures circling above pause in anticipation. Eclipse Vale stomps, cracking the ground beneath his hooves.
You speak like a king, but you're nothing more than his shadow. Tell me, little brother of Specter Fang, do you fight with your own strength, or do you hide behind his legend?
The insult burns. Solar Vortex's claws dig into the soil. He takes a slow step forward.
You'll soon find out how deep my shadow runs.
Come then, Firemane. Show me if the sun still favors you when it sets.
Then, they charge. The ground shakes under the collision. Horn meets claw, muscle against muscle. The sound is thunder, echoing through the savanna. Solar Vortex leaps sideways, barely dodging the deadly horns. Eclipse Vale swings his massive head, the air slicing with force. Solar Vortex slashes across the buffalo's shoulder, drawing blood, but Eclipse Vale retaliates. A brutal kick that sends dust and pain surging up the lion's side. The lion lands hard, teeth bare. He grins.
You stripe like a storm, but I've lived through worse tempests.
And yet you bleed, lion. Your pride means nothing when your bones crack under my weight.
Solar Vortex circles him, eyes blazing with intelligence.
You talk like a warrior, but your spirit reeks of revenge. You came here not to defend land, but to avenge a name.
Eclipse Vale snorts, breath steaming in the heat.
You killed my cousin, Duskmorn. He wandered near your hunting fields, and you tore him apart like a savage.
Duskmorn crossed our den at night. He attacked first. His fate was his own doing.
Then your fate will be mine.
He charges again. The world explodes in motion. Dust storms spiral around them. Solar Vortex ducks low, rolling beneath the buffalo's legs, slashing upward. Blood spurts from Eclipse Vale's underbelly. The buffalo roars in pain and swings his horns backward, catching the lion's flank. Solar Vortex tumbles but lands on his feet, growling deeply. The fight rages. Every second is survival. Solar Vortex uses agility. Eclipse Vale uses brute force. The buffalo's horns crash like twin hammers, but the lion dances between them, striking with precision. At one moment, Eclipse Vale lowers his head and charges full speed. Solar Vortex doesn't move. He waits. He times the breath. 1, 2, and leaps. He vaults onto Eclipse Vale's back, claws sinking deep into flesh. Eclipse Vale thrashes, but the lion's jaws clamp around his neck, tearing fur and skin. Blood sprays into the sunlight.
coward! Face me from the front!
Front or back, death looks the same.
Eclipse Veil rears up, trying to throw him off, but Solar Vortex twists mid-air and lands in front of him again. Both are panting now. The savannah smells of blood and dust.
You lions kill because you can. You call it justice, I call it hunger.
No, we kill to maintain balance. Without order, the plains drown in chaos. Your kind, would trample it all.
Then balance me now, sun-blooded king.
He charges one final time. Solar Vortex's pupils narrow. Time slows. The buffalo's horns glint like obsidian. The lion crouches low, then leaps, spinning midair. His claws rake across Eclipse Veil's face, blinding one eye. The buffalo bellows, crashing forward blindly, straight into the lion's waiting jaws. Solar Vortex bites deep into his throat. The sound is wet and final. Eclipse Veil struggles, choking, blood bubbling between his lips. His voice falters.
My father will avenge me.
Then let him come. I'll bury him beside you.
He twists his jaws, and the light fades from Eclipse Veil's eyes. Silence falls. Solar Vortex releases the corpse, standing tall beneath the blazing sun. His mane ripples with the wind, streaked with blood. He gazes toward the distant mountains, toward Gravelight's territory, and murmurs softly.
One death for another. The circle turns again.
Vultures cry from above, descending in slow spirals as Solar Vortex walks away, each step echoing like the drumbeat of destiny. The morning wind howls across the crimson plains. A dark cloud looms over the land of the buffaloes, casting an ominous shadow upon the valley. At the heart of the plains lies a massive, lifeless body. Eclipse Veil, son of Shadowpike, his once proud horns now broken, his golden eyes dimmed forever. The herd gathers in silence, their breaths thick with sorrow. The scent of blood still clings to the soil, and the faint echo of the lion's roar, Solar Vortex's triumphant cry, lingers in the air like a curse. Shadowpike kneels beside his son's corpse. His muscles tremble. His tears carve dark lines through the dust on his face. He lowers his head, pressing it against Eclipse Veil's cold forehead.
My son, my pride, my only blood. You promised you would never cross their borders again. Why? Why did you walk into the jaws of death?
He rises suddenly, his eyes burning with fury and grief. The herd flinches as he bellows to the heavens.
Solar Vortex, you cursed lion, you have taken my son, my flesh, my legacy. I swear before the spirits of the earth, I will grind your bones to dust.
The roar echoes across the plains, shaking the hearts of all who hear it. Even the wind seems to retreat before the storm of his wrath. As dusk descends, Shadowpike storms into the Obsidian cavern, the throne of Gravelight, the king of buffaloes. Torches flicker along the walls, their orange light glinting off the massive horns of the monarch seated upon a mound of stone. Gravelight's eyes, deep and wise, reflect centuries of battles, losses, and fragile peace. Shadowpike bursts into the chamber, his hooves pounding like thunder.
Gravelite, my king, my son is dead, slain by the lions, slain by Solar Vortex, brother of Specter Fang. The blood pact they swore to honor is now meaningless. We must go to war.
Gravelite raises his head slowly, the weight of authority in every motion.
Shadowpike, I heard the news. Eclipse Veil's death grieves me deeply. But you know the truth. He crossed into the Forbidden Valley. He broke the truce.
He was young, reckless, yes, but his heart was pure. And what of the lions? Are they so righteous that they may slaughter a youth who made a mistake?
The truce was forged to prevent this very bloodshed. The border is sacred. You know it as well as I do. If we march to war, thousands will die. Sons, brothers, fathers. Will that bring back your child?
I do not care about peace. Peace means nothing when my son lies dead. You speak of balance, but I see only cowardice. Are we to kneel forever before the lions?
Gravelight's deep breath fills the chamber. His tone sharpens, though calm remains etched in his voice.
Watch your words, Pike. I have led this herd through storms greater than your rage. I have buried kin too. But vengeance blinds the heart faster than any wound.
You speak of wisdom while your people bleed. Eclipse Veil was my blood. Duskmorn was slaughtered before him. How many more must die before we act?
Duskmorn provoked the storm, and Eclipse Veil wandered where death awaited. I mourn them both, but I will not plunge our kind into ruin for their folly.
Shadowpike lowers his head, the muscles in his neck quivering. His tone darkens.
Then you have grown weak, Gravelite. The king I once followed would have trampled the lions under his hooves for this insult.
Gravelight's eyes narrow, his voice turning to thunder.
Tearful Pike, your grief turns you insolent. You call me weak, but I call you blind. You think war will soothe your pain? It will only feed it.
A long silence hangs between them. The torches flicker as if fearing to breathe. At last, Gravelight steps down from his stone dais, his heavy form towering over Shadowpike. He places one massive hoof upon the ground.
I will not declare war. Not yet. But I will meet Specter Fang, king to king. He owes us an answer. If justice must be served, I will demand it through words before blood.
Words? You think words will avenge Eclipse Veil? You think the lions will tremble at your diplomacy? The only language they understand is death.
Enough! Leave before your grief drives you to treason!
Shadowpike stares at him for a long, trembling moment, fury and sorrow wrestling in his eyes. Finally, he turns, his hooves cracking the floor as he storms out.
If the king of the buffaloes will not avenge his sons, then I, Shadowpike, will. I will hunt Solar Vortex myself, and I will tear his heart from his chest.
The echo of his departure fades into the cold night. Gravelight stands in silence, his gaze distant, burdened by a king's impossible choice.
You are wrong, Pike. War may avenge one life, but it will steal 1,000 more.
Outside, the plains whisper with unrest. The herd murmurs, divided between rage and restraint. And in the shadows, the spirit of vengeance begins to stir, carried by one father's grief, ready to ignite a storm that could consume both kingdoms. The golden sun hangs high over the plains of Equinox, a sacred land where no blood has ever been spilled, marked by the ancient stones of truce. It is here that Specter Fang, king of the lions, and Gravelight, king of the buffaloes, meet at last. The air is tense. The faint hum of cicadas echoes beneath the scorching light. A gust of dry wind passes over the field, carrying with it the scent of dust and judgment. Specter Fang stands tall atop a smooth obsidian boulder, his golden mane shimmering with vitality. Since drinking the Aurum ape nectar, his body exudes power, stronger, sharper, almost divine. The scars once carved upon his flank have faded. His eyes glow with renewed brilliance, like molten amber under sunlight. Beside him stands Solar Vortex, his younger brother, the warrior whose claws are still stained with the blood of Eclipse Veil. His head bows low, heavy with the burden of guilt and fear. From the opposite side of the valley, Gravelight approaches, vast, formidable, his horns glinting like silver crescents. At his side walks Shadowpike, eyes red as embers, veins pulsing with rage. Behind them, two herds, lions and buffaloes, stand at a cautious distance, their eyes fixed on their kings. A solemn silence falls as Gravelight halts. He raises his head, his voice deep as thunder.
Specter Fang, son of the Golden Savannah, I thank you for honoring our summons. Today, we stand not as enemies, but as rulers seeking truth. The deaths of Duskmorn and Eclipse Veil have shaken the balance our ancestors forged.
Specter Fang bows his head slightly, his voice calm yet resonant.
King Gravelite, I welcome your presence. Peace between our kind is sacred and fragile. I have heard of these deaths and grieve for your loss. Yet I must also protect my pride, for truth walks on both sides of the wind.
Shadow Pike steps forward, his hooves cracking the dry earth.
Grief? You speak of grief, lion? My son lies dead, slain by your kin. Eclipse Veil's blood still stains the earth. Where is your justice? Where is your honor, Specter Fang?
The lions growl softly, their eyes narrowing, but Specter Fang lifts his paw, a silent command for peace.
You shall have your answer, Shadow Pike. I have called forth Solar Vortex himself. Let him speak.
Solar Vortex steps forward. His mane is dusted with sweat and sorrow.
I will speak the truth. Duskmorn crossed into our territory, unprovoked. He attacked one of our lionesses. She bore my cubs. I defended her. In doing so, I took his life.
A low murmur ripples through the buffaloes. Shadow Pike's nostrils flare, but Gravelight gestures for silence.
Days later, Eclipse Veil came seeking vengeance. He found me by the River of Thorns. He challenged me, not as an intruder, but as an avenger. I warned him not to set foot in the lion's territory. By doing so, he had already violated the truce between the lions and the buffaloes. But he ignored me. He charged, and I was forced to defend myself again. The battle ended as the sun bled red over the horizon, and Eclipse Veil fell. I did not wish for his death, but he left me no choice.
For a long while, no one speaks. The tension is suffocating. Specter Fang closes his eyes briefly, inhaling deeply. Then, with a grave tone, he speaks.
Solar Vortex, you acted according to law. Yet law without compassion is no justice at all. Duskmorn's death I can justify. You protected one of your own. But Eclipse Veil, his vengeance blinded him, yes, but you would have shown mercy. You could have spared him. My king, I tried. You were not there. He would not yield. Every strike he threw sought to kill me. What mercy could I give to one who wished to end my life?
Before Specter Fang can reply, Shadow Pike erupts, stamping the ground violently.
Mercy? You speak of mercy after murdering my son? There is only one justice, your death, Solar Vortex. Only when your heart is torn out will Eclipse Veil rest.
He lunges forward, but Gravelight thrusts a massive horn in front of him, blocking his path.
Enough! Pike! This is not the way!
You would silence me again? First you refused war, now you stop me from avenging my son? You're no King Gravelite. You're a coward.
Mind your tongue! You dishonor the herd with every word you spit!
Specter Fang steps between them, his voice cutting through the chaos.
Enough! Shadow Pike, you will not insult a king under my sky. This is sacred ground. Speak again with such disrespect, and even your grief will not shield you.
Shadow Pike snarls but falls silent, trembling with suppressed rage. Specter Fang turns back to Solar Vortex. His gaze softens, but his tone remains firm.
You are my brother, Solar Vortex, my blood. But justice must be seen by all, lions and buffaloes alike. For the peace of both our kinds, I strip you of your place in my pride. You will wander beyond our borders. Your name will no longer bear the mark of the pride of the Fang.
Solar Vortex's breath catches. His legs nearly buckle.
Brother, please, do not cast me out. I have fought for our pride, for you, for the law. I only sought to protect what was ours. I know. But a king's word must weigh heavier than his heart. This decision is final.
Solar Vortex's eyes brim with tears. He roars in anguish, a sound that shakes even the lions.
You are wrong, brother. You condemn me to exile for obeying the law. I would give my life for our kind, yet you tear me away.
He collapses to his knees, tears streaking down his mane. But Specter Fang does not move. His eyes are steel. Gravlight lowers his head in solemn respect.
Your judgment honors both justice and peace, Specter Fang. I am satisfied.
Shadowpike, however, spits onto the ground. His voice drips with venom.
Satisfied? This is your justice, Gravelite? My son lies cold, and the murderer walks free. Exile is mercy, not punishment. You both sicken me.
Shadowpike, enough! You will not shame me before the Lion King.
Then I will not stand beneath your shadow any longer.
He turns sharply and storms away, his hooves cracking the sacred stones beneath him. Gravlight lowers his head, grief clouding his eyes.
Your warrior's rage will not rest until it consumes him.
He has lost too much. I fear his pain will become a weapon, one that none of us can control.
The two kings exchange a long, heavy stare, one forged from duty and sorrow. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting the sky in shades of crimson and gold, Solar Vortex walks alone into the wilderness, his silhouette fading into dust. The first crack in peace has been made, and somewhere, far behind the hills, Shadowpike's fury burns, ready to ignite the next war.